how Democrats will win by staving off annihilation. They called Trumpy nasty names: bigot, racist, misogynist, narcissist. The list goes on. They framed him for Russian collusion and did all that they could to stymie his presidency with lies, continued to make up hoaxes like the fine people on both sides hoax, which was more than easily refutable.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
This lie, which they plastered all over the media. They impeached him for a phone call to Ukraine, wondering what Joe Biden was doing, trading favors.
So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
They framed his supporters in Michigan in a kidnapping plot against the governor, Gretchen Whitmer. They tortured America with the Summer of Love, with riots that they could turn on and off. The mostly peaceful protests I'm referring to, of course.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
At minimum, they didn't approve National Guards that Trump requested on January 6th.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
That is not a question of how they had been. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
Then they impeached him for that moment. When that didn't work, they conducted lawfare against him, like changing the law on sexual assault to get a verdict from a jury on a 30-year-old case, extending the statute of limitations, when the nutty victim didn't even know what year it took place and got details that were provably wrong. They tried to bankrupt him on the basis that he overvalued a property, despite the fact that bankers said that they were fine with it and this was common business practices. Then they tried to throw him in jail using absolutely novel legal theories. Then, when none of that worked, they at minimum set the temperature to a boil with a chemical equation whose precipitate was going to be assassination that many predicted. They fixed the primary process to assure old Joe the W, which was done with the sole purpose of boxing out RFK Jr., who very easily could have won. You know, the same people who state that our democracy is literally at stake, and their VP is a DEI hire who no one likes. This is at the moment when their corruption was exposed at the debate, sending out that doddering old man to embarrass himself as early as June, so maybe they could replace him, while Trump's absolute heroics during the assassination attempt resonate with America and will almost certainly propel him to victory and to the White House. So how do Democrats escape absolute annihilation for decades, which frankly they deserve, after spreading cancer and doing all they can to rig the process? I genuinely believe that very few people in America will accept Trump not winning at this point the presidency as anything but cheating. The potential cost for them in this case would be too high. So what's a corrupt party lacking any sense of morality going to do? They have one shot. They're going to cheat, but not for the presidential election. The House races will be close, prognosticators tell us. They will deploy whatever strategies are necessary in selected districts that are presumed to be within striking distance, especially in states like California, where the attention might not be as high, given the fact that it is expected to go blue by large proportions for the state because of liberal strongholds like San Francisco and Los Angeles, but not in the outer, more purple or red areas. But if they can find 500 ballots for illegals to fill out and obfuscate the findings, they will push blue candidates over the top in maybe 10 to 15 districts nationally. This very well could allow them to regain the House. They'll stymie inquiries, they'll stymie reform once they have this power, and preserve the power of the Democratic Party. If they lose the executive branch and both houses of Congress, the inquiries, the subpoenas, the dirt uncovered will likely be enough to sink the party and its wicked ambitions for decades, thus it being easier to cheat in small amounts in selected districts might very well allow them to preserve some semblance of power and relevance. This is the strategy that I would deploy if I was mastermind of the party. So I sincerely hope that everyone else in the country deploys countermeasures in anticipation of this. Hey, look, I'm a former Democrat, but this new party is unrecognizable to me. And like many, I want to see them punished appropriately at minimum.